Yes.
Actually, your third attempt.
It's a fourth attempt.
What?
Fourth attempt, first means first.
Beg your pardon? Can you speak a little louder?
Sir. Fourth attempt, first means first interview.
Yes. You are a engineering student,
Yes, sir.
but you have taken political science
Yes, sir.
as your subject. But are you working anywhere?
No, sir. I
You
was devoted to preparation. And apart from that, I did some freelancing work, sir, writing content on international relations.
Hmm.
Also, my
Hmm.
area of interest.
Hmm.
Hence, what I chose the PSIR optional also. Sir.
Hmm.
Apart from, and I was also involved with the Rotary Club, sir, teaching undergraduate students. I was mentoring students aged 14 to 16 years. And I
Yes.
was happy to announce that one of the students, which I was mentoring, and she could successfully clear the 10th board exam.
Oh, very nice. So, what in international relations sort of excites you?
So currently, the world is in the geopolitical flux, and India's neighborhood is also in a very turmoil situation now, and especially in regards to India, Bangladesh, India. So that is really exciting for me because I come from Assam, and Assam shares a boundary with Bangladesh, and that was a very sensitive issue for our state. So,
Mhm.
so that is interesting.
But Assam as a state was also in some way divided.
Yes, sir.
In some way, not as a politically, but otherwise, you
In
have
terms
some.
of linguistic divisions, yes.
What are the divisions in Assam?
So linguistic. So there are different. Assam is a very mixed society. So it's a varied society. So we have the Assamese people, we have Bengali people, and we have a lot of tribes. So there is Boro, there is Karbi, Dimasa, Miri, Tima. So
So what did you do for the Boros?
so uh, as regards to Rotary Club, so we are providing them
No, politically.
politically. So we have given them six schedule status and four districts: the Chiram, Baksao, Dalguri, and Kokraja. That is the borderland territorial area.
Mm.
We are giving them autonomy, and Government of India is also negotiating the Bodo Peace Accord. So almost 1.5 lakh diplomatic packages are given to them.
Mm.
So politically, we are empowering them. Financially, we are empowering them, and we are also taking steps to curb the NDFP militancy in Assam. And we are hopeful that they will be integrated. And recently, Government of India has also given a constitution with in Bodo language. So we are empowering them.
I have a proposition. I don't see. Basically, when you talk of India as a country,
Yes,
the main thing is India.
yes,
I can understand that, well, look here, one may look physically different. But now, the moment you create, I can understand that for purposes of administration, you have a division, you can make lines. But when you say within Assam, you give rise to Assamese, within that, there are Bodos, and you give rise to Boros. So you find that in a country like this, where you have hundreds of such things. So, according to you, is this the way to progress a country as a whole, or the moment you give these things, you encourage divisions, and the country becomes secondary. These small groups become primary. You can't be a great nation. What is your view?
So I beg to differ from you in this context. So I believe it is greater decentralization of governments. We are giving them more political autonomy because when we do a one size fit all approach, when you do a top down approach, then sometimes what happens, these communities get marginalized. So when we give that political representation, like giving the six schedule status, giving them more autonomy, we give them the power to express themselves, bring their issue to the governance level, so that effective steps can be taken for an improvement and for their advancement. It is not like segregation of the people. We are not sidelining them. We are giving them autonomy so that they can come to the mainstream. That is what.
Now, when you join your IAS is your first choice.
Yes.
So when you join the administration, in the beginning you are in the districts and this and that. But later on, one has to go up when you are in the secretariat. You are now basically it's a question of choice of where you are put. But given your own thoughts and processes and what you like, what you would like to, what you think you'd be more effective in, which is the department that you would like to work in, either in the secretariat or as a department head in the civil services or in the IAS.
So I have been associated with teaching. My mother is also associated with teaching. So education department is one of the sectors which I would like to work in.
The education department.
Yes.
Now, do you recall that there was a time in the education department when the whole idea was, see, times have changed. Was there a time when you say, well, look here, let me think of literacy and make a lot of people literate before we. Was there any in the old education ministries and departments, was there a subject like this where you were looking only at providing literacy to a large group of people who were illiterate and who had not studied? Was there any such program or in something at one time in
So
the education ministry?
So 1986, way back, we had education policy, and then we had Samagra Sarva Siksha Abhijan, which was implemented, which was focused on providing foundational literacy and numeracy. And we have a revision of that of National Education Policy 2020, which is being implemented now. So this is what
Okay.
Yeah. See, Lisa, first thing that comes to mind is that when your parents' name and your name, there's a difference. Why is that?
So I like the Gotra.
Okay. So Liza Garga and there I Bhattacharya. That's what I was trying to figure out. You studied in NIT Silchar. Silchar has some huge mosquitoes that you see. But he asked you a question. Assam was partitioned in a way in 1947.
So between Sylhet and the Assamese boundary, but local Bobina border, he ensured that we don't go to East Pakistan.
Yeah, Silchar also had actually.
Silchar.
So Sylhet was part of what?
The present Bangladesh, sir.
No, but what was it? Why was it given to?
This frontier is.
Sylhet was part of Assam
Yes,
till 1947.
yes, sir.
So when we say partition, but apart from Bengal and Punjab, Sylhet, which was part of Assam, was also given to Bangladesh. So why was it given?
So it had a predominant Bengali speaking population. The Sylheti dialect was somewhere similar to Bangladeshi. So like linguistically, probably they prefer Sylhet on linguistic basis.
The Silchar also, most of people speak Bengali only. Karimganj at least has a lot of people speaking Bengali. So why was Sylhet given, and on what basis was it given? Yeah, there was a referendum. Incidentally, Sylhet had a referendum, and that's how it was given. Sylhet and Silchar have huge cultural connect. So have you heard of something known as Silchar Festival?
So I have heard of Silchar and organizing some festivals, but particularly I
Organized in your institution, NIT Silchar, actually. Yeah, we did it anyway. So you said you like neighborhood. Since you said Bangladesh is your favorite. So how do you look at Bangladesh today?
So Bangladesh is now in a state of flux, sir, because of Sheikh Hasina. She has been given the extradition. Sheikh Hasina was an asset for India, and Bangladesh is asking for her extradition. So number one, I believe here India should follow the legal recourse and not kind of give in to the pressure. If needed, India should exercise the extradition treaty 1962 to refuse her extradition. Secondly, sir, there is a transition that army leader might not come to power, and there's Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Japan who are pro-Pakistan. So now India has to manage both the Eastern Front as well as the Western Front. And thirdly, sir, there is the illegal immigration problem which we are facing. And a lot of immigrants are now coming to Assam as well as Tripura, and it is causing democratic anxiety for the Northeast.
You said Awami League might not come to power. Is there a possibility that it can come to power?
So if things get better, probably it is. But right now, Bangladesh Nationalist Party and Jamaat, they are there's a high chance that they will be forming the government during elections are money. Because if Sheikh Hasina has to come to Bangladesh, she has to the sentence was given in absentia. So if she has to come, then she has to come in person and appeal to the court, which it's probably unlikely that she would return to Bangladesh. So to diplomatic channels in future, probably we might do something.
What is the latest development in Bangladesh in last 48, 72 hours? Anything important?
So elections,
Elections have been announced. Now, is Awami League allowed to contest these elections?
So I think they are banning our station.
Awami League is not permitted to contest the election. Awami League has been banned. So there is no way that Awami League can come to power as far as this elections are concerned.
Yes.
Either be one of those parties which are allowed to contest.
Yes.
So that's the first part which comes to mind, and that's what I was trying to say. So why did this toppling of government take place in Bangladesh according to you? How was Sheikh Hasina toppled? Which were the countries which were involved? Were there external powers involved, or it was purely an indigenous movement? Was it an army-led movement, or it was a popular sentiment? What is your view?
So it all started from the July Revolution, where certain students were demanding quota reservation. They were protesting against it, and that was also capitalized by United States, and other foreign powers were also involved, and that created opportunity for Muhammad Yunus to further his political ambitions. So he sidelined Sheikh Hasina, and he is now hoping to become the next prime minister. And with regard to the political consequences in India, that would not be a very. We wanted Sheikh Hasina. Sheikh Hasina was an asset for India. Muhammad Yunus is a little bit anti-India right now.
Some issue which you said other foreign powers. Which were the other foreign powers involved in toppling Sheikh Hasina? You said United States was involved in the other foreign powers. Which were the other foreign powers? Since you said other foreign powers.
China and Pakistan, sir, might also have a role.
Okay. And you said Muhammad Yunus wants to become the prime minister. Is he contesting the elections?
He is now acting as the interim head of the government. So definitely, sir, he would like to have the role of the head of the government.
I think he has declared that he'll not be contesting the elections. So that's one thing which I just wanted to tell you. And when you say the foreign powers was same, which all and how. So that's how we were looking at it. What about Assam has borders with other neighboring countries also? But Assam actually does not have, but the Northeast India per se has.
Yes, sir.
So what is happening in those countries?
So in Myanmar, the junta has taken over, but they are also pro elections. They are also undergoing elections, but that is a security threat for India, because number one, in Myanmar there is a place called Miyawadi, which is a security threat for India. Then we have the Arakan multimodal project, which passes through the Rakhine state. The Arakan army is creating problem. Then so we have borders with the Manipur issue, sir. The Manipur, the cookies, they are also funding the rebellion, and Myanmar also acts as a safe house for the Northeast insurgents. So that is a problem.
Okay. A Kaladan multimodal project. What is it?
So it is a connectivity project by India to bypass Bangladesh. It starts from Kolkata to Sitwe, then Paletwa, then connects to Zorinpuri in Mizoram.
Now, this territory, what is the problem? You said Arakan army is creating problems. What is the problem?
They are destabilizing the region, sir. And they are not, the investments are, India has a lot of investments and they are destabilizing the region.
What is the situation in this part through which Kaladan multimodal project passes? What is the ground position as on date?
Sir,
Do you have any idea?
So exact idea are not.
See, the entire Rakhine province, with the sole exception of Sitwe and 2 other townships, is now controlled by Arakan army.
Yes.
They are administering the area. Not only that, even this area in Chin state, which is Paletwa, is also now under Arakan army. So virtually, if you leave the Sitwe port, the entire extent of territory through which Kaladan multimodal project is passing through is held by Arakan army.
Yes.
And they're not destabilizing, they're actually firmly in control. So if we have to actually go through, we'll have to deal with these people. That's one of the issues which comes to mind.
India is a federal country. Okay.
Yes.
We are asymmetrical federals.
Yes.
What part of the constitution support the idea of asymmetrical federalism?
So Article 371,
Okay.
special powers.
Mhm.
Then there's Article 239, Union territories
Mhm.
with legislature, without legislature. Then there is a fifth schedule, sixth schedule.
Do you think, again, is it good for the country? Do you think it's good for the country, or is it going to divide
No,
like
sir.
asymmetrical?
No, sir. I beg to differ from you. It would actually strengthen governance because India is a large country and every country has their own political and socio-economic needs. So if there is asymmetrical federalism was done keeping in mind that the interests are better represented.
Okay. Uh, but this is also one of the reasons that India has been called as a quasi-federal country. Do you subscribe to the view that India is a quasi-federal country?
Yes, sir, I do because India doesn't have a strong. India has a strong union, but then states are also equally empowered here. So it is not like the U.S. model. So here states also have an equal say. At the same time, when that during emergency or if situations forbid, then union is also strengthened. So there is a balance of power according to the exigencies, political exigencies. So that is why I believe that India is a positive.
But is it right to consider US an ideal type and then call India as a quasi-federal? Why can't India has its own unique model of federalism? Is it why should we consider US as ideal type, and then on the basis of what are the points at which we are differing, we call India as a quasi-federal? Do you think that US is ideal type of federalism?
So actually, if I talk about federalism as a political arrangement, it is a sui generis concept. So it depends on the country. So India is now currently inclined to the Canadian model, but it will be completely Eurocentric, so to kind of take US as the sole example and then compare India with it. India has its own, has a
Sui generis model.
sui generis model.
We have our own unique reasons now. The time at which US was starting its federal journey, and the time at which we started, it was different. The situations were different. And therefore, according to me, it is not right to compare with US and call it the other cost. You have this hobby of also teaching to students with your public background, as you are more appreciated to teaching. Let us assume a situation where you are the secretary of the education department. Which you're going to prioritize more, the primary foundational education, or you're going to prioritize the higher education?
So my focus would be right now for higher education because primary education we are already reaching 93% gross enrollment ratio and there are over 45,000 government schools also. So that in terms of primary education, we are doing fairly well. The drop-on rate has also considerably reduced. But at the moment when it comes to higher education, that is where India is lacking. Number one, because when I talk about students, most of them they are not the social economic setup is that they don't really prefer higher education because they cannot afford. Secondly, most of them after class 10 or 12, they go up into vocational courses or to take up penny jobs. And nowadays, the gig economy culture is also offering them, they can get a delivery executive job soon after their 10th or 12th. So that is the second thing. The third thing, so India has not invested too much in R&D. It's just 0.69%. Because if we want to become Viksit Bharat by 2047, we need currently we need people who are equipped in advanced technologies like AI, semiconductor chips, electronics, and electric vehicles, and also global R&D. So that is why my focus would be on higher education.
Higher. There's one factor associated primarily with the higher education, that is reservations. Good. Now we are into the 70 years we have crossed after independence. Do you think that reservation has actually served its purpose? Do we require reservation even after 7 decades of India's independence?
So the intent of reservation is to cater to the socio-economic marginalized communities. But the problem when it comes to reservation is that there are people who have taken the benefit and they have become empowered and they are serving in class one jobs. They are doing, they are doctors, engineers, lawyers, and they are doing fairly well. But the policy of India is such that it is given on caste parameters. So their kids also continue to get the benefits. And in this process, the one who actually needs, they are getting sidelined, even if they come from the same community. This was something highlighted by the Chief Justice of India, Gawai also. So that kind of changes that incorporate certain income levels or actual people who are economically disadvantaged or social. So that targeted reservation is needed, right? Instead of a blanket reservation community. So subcategorization is important.
Subcategorization is required. Currently, is it allowed? Subcategorization?
For OBCs, it is allowed. For SC/ST, the Supreme Court, the case is going on. So
Which case can you name the case?
I'm not able to recall.
It has been decided already, and the Supreme Court has said that subcategorization can be done. It was the Winder system.
Yes, yes.
Punjab. Well, it hasn't decided. Okay. There was one Supreme Court judgment related to the Sabrimala issue. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
What was the case about?
So about women not being allowed to enter the temple, women of menstruating age.
Okay. So women from menstruating age, they are not being allowed to enter. And Supreme Court said that the women should be allowed into that. Don't you think that it is interference in the freedom of right to religion of the community? Because Article 25, Article 26, it gives you the fundamental rights that you can manage your own religious lives. And there is one community which is perfectly happy. Even women also of the community, they are ready to stop themselves not entering into it. So what makes judiciary right in interfering into this? Do you think that position of judiciary was right, or can you call it as judicial overreach? The Sabrimala judgment.
So here I'd like to segregate into two parts. One, when it comes to judiciary, so India follows positive secularism. So judiciary is allowed to take steps that would require for inclusive development of the community as a whole. So positive secularism is allowed, and in that way also Supreme Court has intervened in the case and given the judgment. Then comes to women recusing themselves from entering. That is a socio-economic condition itself, because women are programmed in that way that if you are in a menstruating age, you should not go in the temple. So for that, behavioral changes is required. Awareness is required that this is something that it is a myth and there is nothing to do with your religion. It will not be an interference to religion. So the judicial as well as the society both should go hand in hand here to ultimately attain the objective that women are also allowed and this is not an interference in their religion.
How do you differentiate between constitutional morality and social morality?
Like if I had to make a Venn diagram, then constitutional morality with a big circle, and then the social morality would be the small circle. Constitutional morality often transcends social morality.
And what exactly is constitutional morality?
Constitutional morality are those basic ethos that are enshrined in the Constitution of India, and it is also a part of the basic structure of our Constitution, and that should never be violated. Any law of any government should never violate the constitutional morality.
Constitutional morality. Okay, fine. There was one doctrine which was used by the Supreme Court in this particular case, and even in the later cases, for example, the Triple Talaq case, that is called as essential religious practice. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
What is it?
So it says that certain practices which are specific to certain religions, it is not something that, for example, so I can take that example like Ismail Faruqi judgment. They said a mosque is not essential to the practice of Islam. In the Ananda Margi case, Shivat Andav is not. So sometimes Supreme Court uses that doctrine to justify that certain practices are not essential to practicing your religion. You can do it even without those things, and that will not impinge on your religion or the right to practice religion. Article 25 will not be violated in that case.
Okay. Any fundamental right you think is absolute right?
Article 21.
Article 20. Do you think it is absolute?
Yes, so that
Article 71 itself says that the right to life and personal liberty is protected, except there can be certain cases, except for procedure established by absolute right means that if I say that Article 21 is an absolute right to life, that means nobody can take away of it.
So what I meant to say that in most cases, Article 21 would not be violated. Court will try to ensure maximum focus would be given that Article 21 is not violated, because we see in Maneka Gandhi case that due process of law was also given. It was revised in that way. But of course, all fundamental rights are subject to they are subject to constitutional limitation.
Article 17. Can untouchability be justified?
No, sir.
In any way?
No, sir. That is
Can that be considered as absolute right?
yes, sir, to an extent, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.